In a world infested with semi-mediocre podcasts, only one show can bring you an exceptionally mediocre podcast. It's the Indispensable Thursday Show with Sable and Dave.
Four-year-old humor. He said, I had a little dreidel. I ate it all up. And when I tried to spin myself, I landed on my butt.
Did he do this musically? Was he singing
Yeah,
this?
yeah, with the song.
And that is, okay, I think I know who that is.
Just like I would bring all the kids up and they'd make up crazy random things, the 4-year-old comes up with that one. It's pretty good.
Well, I know what my level of humor is because I'm always singing "Chipmunks roasting on an open fire" during Christmas. So.
That's funny. I was always roasting Jack Frost.
Mm-hmm. Jack Frost roasting.
Jack Frost
that works
roasting on an open fire.
No, you're not listening to an old Christmas episode. What was that part?
Chestnuts. Not my nuts on your chest. Chestnuts.
Ooh. Yeah, that would be...
well, not your chest, because that'd be weird.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Matter of fact, you might offend one of our sponsors if you're suggesting that sort of thing is bad. Remember.
We'll get to that later. But my wife would disagree with it. With my chestnuts on your chest.
Yes. Oh, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Awkward pause inserted in post.
Mm-hmm. So what's up, Sable?
Oh, man, it's been a great end of the year.
It has. Ends of years are always good.
Yeah.
Well, you made it through.
The college closes down for a week, so I get, about a week and a half. I get some time off, some time to play some games and hang out.
Mm-hmm. We did some hanging out.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time with friends.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of time. We had house guests over for a few days. My guitar player friend and his wife. I had my my drummer buddy from Northern California stay with us. We went to the Huntington Beach Drum Circle. I played a folk band gig.
Did it just reek of patchouli oil there? Or was it like, did it burn your nose hairs with the patchouli smell?
At the drum circle?
Yeah.
No, it was only the one reggae guy that kind of reeked.
Okay.
Everyone else was like playing their drum. Mm-hmm. The one guy with the reggae shirt, well, stereotypically, he was the one, yeah.
Who are we?
Not that there's anything wrong with that. We're the not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, welcome to Not That There's Anything Wrong With That, the podcast. No, we're just kidding. It's not the name of our show.
That's right.
I'm silly.
This is the Indispensable Thursday Show. I'm Sable.
And I'm Dave.
And you probably heard that in the intro. That's kind of why I just got into it.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we do have it in the intro now, so we don't really need to say. So not like people are just tuning in now who didn't hear the intro because it's podcasting. It's not broadcasting.
That's right.
Right.
Well, and remember, anyone that goes back in time to episode 1 will know that everyone knows Dave.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember why, but it's a good thought.
That was the show title.
Yeah. Was it the show title? I don't remember.
Oh, no, it wasn't. I'm sorry, it wasn't the show title.
You just said that during the show, I think.
You're right. It was the alternate show title. My apologies.
Yeah. So if you Thursday, Indispensable Thursday Show trivia people will have fun figuring out what the original title was for that. So send your answers to Dave at theindispensable.show.com.
I think we're going to make that an open source Cards Against Humanity expansion.
Okay.
In 100 episodes, we can start on that.
Okay.
So, but for today, I'd like to bring up a subject that's very near and dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. And that's coffee. Mm. And one thing I've discovered with having so much company around is that my absolutely perfect, best coffee that I can make, handcrafted just for me, is just not enough for 4 or 5 people. And I spend the whole morning trying to make coffee so that I can get enough.
So, because you don't have the capacity in your machine to make that much, or
I don't use a machine. That's the problem.
Oh, do tell.
I use the AeroPress.
Mm-hmm.
I have my let's see this couple of weeks I have a coffee bean and tea leaf pack of French roast, whole bean of course. Mm-hmm. I grind it to the right specification. which is the finest of the fine that my grinder can do. And then I carefully measure out enough for the AeroPress. When I have people over, I measure out enough to do the French press, and it's called pushing. I will push a press, and then fill up a French press, which is only 3 cups of coffee.
Yeah, it's only for me, it's 1 big cup.
Yeah, it's
French
1 big
press.
cup, right? So I'll do I'll push a press, pour everyone some coffee, and get started right on the next one.
This is the first world problem part of our show where we go through all of our first world problems, and this being one of the I can't make enough coffee for my friends with my AeroPress.
Well, I want everyone to have a handcrafted cup of specialty coffee.
Oh, I'm with you. I like it too.
Now, I was experimenting with something I had read about, and then I think I also heard about it on some podcast sometime.
Autoerotic coffee press?
Exactly. No,
Don't strangle yourself with that.
a
Many
little
people
bit.
have died. Mr. Coffee died that way, actually. Not a lot of people know that.
It's a little bit crazy. It's called bulletproof coffee.
Oh.
Did I tell you about this?
No.
Good. I try to reserve podcast topics for the podcast, and I make little notes of things not to talk to you about.
Oh, right, yeah.
On my
you don't
phone.
want to spoil the reaction. That's good.
Right.
That.
I gotta. Well, if I tell you once, it's gonna be boring the second time I tell you.
Right. Then I have to go in acting, and I pretend that I haven't heard it and all this.
Yeah. Well, you're a great actor. I probably wouldn't know. If you were a girl,
if I was a girl,
you could fake big O's your whole life, and nobody would know. So, what the bulletproof coffee is instead of using your heavy whipping cream like we use, which I think you helped me upgrade from half and half to heavy whipping cream. Instead of using that,
one's free.
You get the high grade Kerrygold grass fed butter. You put some of the coffee into the little blender. I use the Magic Bullet with a little dab of butter and a little teaspoon of coconut oil. You blend it up. It gets creamy and frothy, and it is fantastic.
I haven't tried that with the coconut oil, but I have had some butter.
Well, you don't put too much coconut oil because you don't want to taste the coconut oil. I don't like the taste of it.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to activate your brain or something and help curb your hunger. I don't know.
All right.
But the little bit of butter in it, wow.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Yeah, I like that flavor.
So now my overly complex coffee ritual, when I'm going to do a buttered coffee, is even longer.
We should do a buttered whiskey.
Buttered whiskey.
Yeah.
Oh,
It'd probably take a long time to melt, though, with that ice cube contraption that we use. Just sitting there with a pat of butter still floating on the top after the show.
The butter would freeze.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good, though. Only the Kerrygold ass-fed butter, did you say? The gay cows?
Yeah, I'm sure there's more brands available, but Costco has a good deal on the ass-fed butter. So I got a big box of that. Kerrygold.
That's a rough job being the guy that's supposed to ass feed the cows. You got to pull on that long glove.
Isn't that a form of torture?
Yeah,
ass feeding, ass hydration.
We can review the Geneva Convention rules because some of these cows, we want them to spill their information, and it's useful.
Right.
So
it was in that torture report.
Yeah.
Some cows just don't want to give up the milk, so you have to force feed them. I'm sure that's the
they
case.
think they're better than us. These freaking cows.
Maybe in a past life they were.
I think vegetarians think cows are better than us. I always ask vegetarians. Always. For the purposes of this show, I always ask vegetarians, the ones who are sort of militant vegetarians out of principle, like they don't want to, cause grief to animals. And I always say, God, I hope I haven't said this on the podcast before because that'd be really embarrassing. But I would say, what do you have against cows? Why do you want them to die a horrible death in the wild, being torn apart by wolves while they're still alive, as opposed to the clean, quick death we give them with the bolt to the head or whatever it is, the gun? I don't know what they use now, electrocution, but it is quick. Have you ever seen a cow or a horse? I saw a horse get killed in a French movie. It was like a what do they call those places that butcher meat? What do they call it?
Slaughterhouse?
Yeah, slaughterhouse. They used that bolt thing on this horse, and it was a big horse, and this thing just instantly dead. The legs just folded up underneath, slammed to the ground, dead instantly. So I always ask him, why do you want cows to be tortured? Because I think they have this romanticized view of cows, like they're going to be sitting around with their little cow grandchildren with a blanket around their lap, over their lap in the rocking chair, telling stories about when he was a little calf. No, they don't
Smoking a
die.
big
They don't
cigar.
get old and die. They get torn apart by wild. The wild, that's their death. At least we kill them quick, and we eat them.
When I was a teenager, I worked at the best place you could possibly work at in the high desert. Like maybe the number 2 possible job you could get as a teenager. I worked at McDonald's. The only better place really was In-N-Out. But it was really far away.
You couldn't make the cut for In-N-Out, huh? That's like
no, I could have made it. I couldn't make the bike ride. It was like 15 miles.
Those elite burger flippers, those In-N-Out
They
people.
were really far away. Hour and a half bike ride.
High desert. Which what city was this? High desert area. What?
That was in Hesperia.
Hesperia.
That's
oh,
right.
You know that area. Okay. So
I know it overly well.
I know Apple Valley a little bit. So.
I rode my bike on every street in Hesperia, Apple Valley, and Victorville.
Wow.
So
sorry.
Yeah, so I was there at McDonald's, 3 gold star, expert, smart Alec, knew every temperature, every time, every single thing. And then I got to watch the video on how the meat was made. And I became a vegetarian for 5 years.
5 years.
From that moment, I could not eat meat. It took 5 years till I was in the Army. And then we started barbecuing steak. And I said, that's what I need. That's what my life's been missing.
Damn straight.
I think I've had one McDonald's hamburger in the last 30 years.
Well, I like
25
McDonald's
years
hamburgers. I like their food is good for what it is. You want a quick meal. It's and actually not that unhealthy for you, except for the bread and the soda and the French fries. Potatoes aren't that; they're very starchy and they're not that good for you. But as far as like if you just eat a protein style quarter pounder with cheese, nothing wrong with that. It's fine.
Well, I guess my argument is whether you consider it food or not.
Yes, I do. I mean, you can sustain yourself on that. Sure. Of course it's food. It's yummy food. My body's built on double quarter pounders with cheese. Ronald McDonald's my personal trainer.
Hey,
You can do 2 more. He sounds like Hulk Hogan.
Double quarter pounders were a special favorite of mine as a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
I could eat 2 double quarter pounder king size meals.
Wow.
In one sitting.
I probably could do that too. You're kind of the opposite of me. When I saw Super Size Me, guess where we went? Right after Super Size Me, I said, I need a freaking quarter pounder of cheese right now. I stat. So my girlfriend and I drove to McDonald's. Yeah.
Super Size Me messed me up, man. I was like, that guy was throwing up. What's wrong with him? Did he not eat anything before he started eating junk food? I mean,
Well, he ate all. He didn't get any diet drinks. He didn't get any salads. He only ate the most unhealthy portions, and he ate a lot of it. And he supersized it every time. And he would eat like desserts and shakes too. And it's like, of course, you're gonna gain a little weight when you're doing that. But there are ways to eat. Did you ever see the movie Fathead? Rolling into movies now, maybe.
No.
Fathead was sort of an answer to Super Size Me, where this guy said, "I'm gonna go on a diet that includes McDonald's." He didn't just go to McDonald's, but he had a lot of. But he like every day he would go there, and that was part of his diet. But they get it. It's a. They do talk a lot about the Gary Taubes book. I think he's quoted in there. So it's this guy does a low carb thing, and he checks in with his doctor. He loses weight, and he's eating at McDonald's. And his doctor's at one point flipping out because the doctor was measuring his cholesterol and all this stuff, and it was getting better, even though he knew what kind of diet the guy was eating. And the doctor was major cognitive dissonance. He was like, "I don't like this. I don't like this." But he couldn't argue. The guy was losing weight, and he's like, "I'm expecting to see horrible numbers," but he wasn't, and he was just, "I don't like this." That's all he said. "I don't like this." It's pretty funny.
I'll have to
That's
go
a good
watch
one called Fathead. Yeah, it's good. I like it.
I like the Gary Taubes book. The first one was a little dense. Good calories, bad calories.
Perfect for me. I'm very dense.
Wow.
Yeah, in many ways.
In many ways. Well, there's a lot to nutrition. Just because you could lose weight on the Twinkie diet doesn't mean the Twinkie diet is a sustainable way to eat and live.
No, if only it was. And Did that guy who did that? He just focused on junk food, right? And he was still losing weight, right?
I thought
He was eating ding dongs and chips and all kinds of stuff.
I thought the point of that argument was to say if you eat less calories than you burn, you'll lose weight. But that doesn't address the long term. Anyways,
No, it's very short term. Very short term, and it would tear the crap out of my stomach. It would be terrible if I tried that.
Oh, I would love it. But,
oh my god, yeah, I love it.
But don't take advice from me.
No.
Talk to your doctor. I'm probably reading the same books that you are, coming to my own conclusions, and not being successful with them. So
yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing wrong. Is I'm eating too much sugar. That's my basic problem. But anyway, enough about us and our diets.
Yeah, I want to hear about movies.
Movies,
because I saw a really great movie over the break.
You did? What was it? You start. I saw two.
Oh, you saw two.
Talk about.
I wonder if we saw the same one. Because we didn't get there together. I saw The Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies.
Actually, that reminds me, I saw 3 movies. Sorry, but yes, go ahead and tell us about The Hobbit.
Concluding a 3-year cycle with 7.5 hours of film. I could actually read the book word for word in less time than it would take to watch the 3 movies back to back, which I've done, by the way. I've read The Hobbit several times, and I have sat down and read it in less than 6 hours.
Wow.
Cover to cover.
I could never do that.
It was one of my favorite books as a kid.
Yeah.
Actually, I think The Hobbit was the book I discovered around 9 or 10 in the bookshelf, where I opened it up to just curiously see what it was. And the whole day passed into the night, sitting by the lamp, reading to find out what finally happened with Smaug and the dwarves and the battle. And so I thought it was an enjoyable expansion on the story. It would have been a fine 2.5-hour movie, but with all the extra elements, the extra love affairs, elaborating all the battles, bringing in Legolas's extended story to sort of tie him into Lord of the Rings. The little thing at the end, spoiler, where they bring Bilbo, and when he's older, the other Bilbo from the 2001 movie, they bring him in. So it sort of brings the whole series into one cohesive set of movies. I thought it was well done. I enjoyed it.
You didn't hate all the stuff that was added in by Peter Jackson to it, sort of the filler, as a lot of people call it. I thought it was fine. I thought it was okay too. I didn't see that last movie though. Just for the record.
Throughout the 3 movies, I mean, I could probably nitpick a thing here or there, but in general, I think that what was added was either taken or inferred from the extended story. You go back to the Silmarillion, or taken from things that were referenced to later on in Lord of the Rings. Because he left out a lot of stuff in Lord of the Rings. The first...
So it wasn't just some executive who scratching his side of his nose, leaned into Peter Jackson. It'd be great if we had a robot spider in this scene here. And then he has to write it in. So it was really inspired by, you're saying, the book.
That was my... stuff. I mean, there could have been an executive, let's see how much we can milk this for. But I think, in Lord of the Rings, the first 15 minutes, they cut out 18 years of the story. And I was just so affronted that they cut out such a long, important time in Frodo's friendship that I couldn't get over it. I had to watch the movie a couple of times to get past that. What was so important to me wasn't important to the story. But in The Hobbit, I thought the story was really served by this extra storyline. Not just the story of the Hobbit and the dwarves, but the story of the ring.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. I saw 3 different films during the course of this break. First one I saw was Imitation Game. I managed to go see. We were going to try it, but it didn't happen.
Sorry, I couldn't make that. That's still on my list to go see.
It was quite a fantastic film. Benedict Cumberbatch, fantastic. It's the story of... By the way, I wish we could get Scarlett Johansson and Benedict Cumberbatch to start dating so we can call them Scumberbatch. Did I talk about that before? I might have mentioned that in the last podcast. Scumberbatch would be awesome. Celebrity. It's super couple name. But it's the story of in World War II. They had the Nazis were broadcasting their orders to everybody, and I'm going to do this fast because we're running up against the clock now. Nazis had, they broadcast their stuff encrypted codes and stuff, and they would decrypt it with this machine called the Enigma. And we had one; they'd stolen one from someone, smuggled it out, and the Nazis probably were not aware. I don't think they was made it that clear that. I don't know if they knew we had an Enigma machine, but still, it didn't matter because you had to know what settings to use on the Enigma machine to decode the messages. And what's his name? Great, now I can't remember his name.
Turing.
Yeah, Alan Turing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was the fella that ended up. He got hired by the government over there in England to. He was a math genius, really, and he got hired over there. This is a true story, by the way. So he got hired over there to try to figure out how to crack the Nazi code. And but Alan Turing also was gay, which was a big problem back then in Britain. No. It was a big no-no to be gay, and if it was found out, he'd be arrested, thrown in jail, he'd be thrown off the project. So the movie really, thematically, it's about secrets, and when someone is the keeper of certain knowledge, they have power, and sometimes it's not pretty. I mean, there's this great scene in the movie after they do crack the code. Everybody, it's historic. They crack the code, but they kind of realize we can't let anybody know that we cracked this code, so we can't just start saving everybody that we know that's going to be attacked. We have to. They develop like algorithms to try to make it look like they could save just enough, units or this to make the Nazis not know that they'd broken the code. And hey, it worked. It won the war for us. But Alan Turing had his own secrets too. So it's a movie about secrets. It's fantastic movie. Highly recommend. A couple of man cry moments. I had two or three man cry moments. Man tears. Crime.
Well, if too many submarines were blown up, the Germans would have been suspicious.
Yeah, you can't just go around suddenly blowing up all the submarines because they go,
Right, and if they get suspicious, then they would change their encryption algorithm. Yeah, and we'd be in the dark again.
Mm-hmm. Right, and it's very fun, like mystery, like how are they going to figure out what settings to use? And Alan Turing basically is, as a result of this Enigma machine, the machine he invented to crack it basically evolved into the modern computer, and they used to call computers Turing machines. And so it's a good historical movie for computers. I also saw Big Eyes, Tim Burton movie, based on Walter Keane, the artist who was famous for making those paintings of little kids with big, huge eyes that you've probably seen from the 50s and 60s. And I remember him as a kid, but I'm a little older than you. But the weird part of the story that I had no idea, I did not know until I heard about this movie, was that Walter Keane did not paint any of the pictures. Rather, they were his wife's pictures, and he just somehow kind of ended up putting his name on them and just wanted to keep the thing going. And he just had his wife not really locked up in the studio, but she couldn't talk about it. She painted these things all the time, and it was don't say a freaking word about this because the whole thing collapses if you do.
So he took all the credit.
He took all the credit for him. He claimed to be a painter, but and then there was this wild and crazy court case where it kind of finally came out, and she finally said, "These are my paintings," and he said, "You're crazy." And there's this crazy court case in Hawaii. Christoph Waltz stars as Walter Keane. It's great, and Amy Adams is the woman. It's great too. And I also saw oh dear, what was the other one I saw? Did I write it down? Skeleton Twins. That was one with Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader. And
Hader's gonna hate?
It's about don't hate Hader. He is a great actor. They play siblings in this one, and they're both from sort of their father had committed suicide when they were younger, and they kind of have this weird bond with death, basically. And the way the story opens is Kristen Wiig is about to kill herself. She's taking some pills, and then she gets a phone call from a hospital saying, "Your brother just tried to kill himself." So it's very interesting that they were trying to kill themselves at the same time in life, and they haven't spoken in 10 years. So it sets off this sort of reunion, and he's gay and very good gay guy. All these movies have gay themes, which is a perfect lead-in to our sponsor, which I'm going to talk about momentarily.
That's so interesting that you had a thematic winter break. Your winter break was full of one particular commonality.
Yeah, was there any gay? No, it wasn't any gay in Big Eyes, I don't think. But that was about secrets too, though. Big secrets. So yeah, movies about secrets. And Skeleton Twins too. So there's the theme. Thank you for pulling that out of all three of these movies. Skeleton Twins I would have liked more if they would have had that infamous thing that I've talked about before. And there's a whole book written about it called Save the Cat.
Save the Cat.
Very important in movies to have this scene where we like the hero. You need to at least, if not like the person, want to have a beer with them. You want to at least see how their story plays out. If you don't care about them, you don't care about the whole movie. There's no tension. If they're in trouble, you don't care.
You don't have any vested interest.
This movie didn't quite ever have a save the cat sequence. Both characters are kind of not real likable. They're kind of douchey, both of them. And there's never really a moment where we're like, I really like her or I really like him. Okay, he was sad that his fish died. Goldfish, who cares?
Right.
But would have been better had they been able to pull that early scene off to where I would care more, because I cry easy in movies. No waterworks in this one, and there were plenty of opportunities that I'm sure they would like to have had those waterworks turned on, but didn't happen.
You regularly cry in movies?
Good movies I do actually. I cry a lot in movies. I'm not weeping, but a little like, trickle.
Okay. You feel that emotional bond.
Elephant Man being probably the movie that makes me cry the most. The David Lynch one with John Hurt.
In The Return of the King.
Oh, I cry in that one too. All of those movies.
There's that when Samwise, is willing to give up his life to help his friend Frodo. It's such an emotional moment. That was a big emotional moment for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a big tearjerker in movies, but like that one gets it. Remember when Frodo takes on the task? Remember that scene? That was a big emotional one for me, because he knows, like, you're probably not coming back from this, but he steps up and like Gandalf is looking at him like, hey, you want to do this? Right.
It was great. Oh my God. So good. But
there's a couple other movies. I've never seen my wife get emotional in a movie.
Oh, you mean The Terminator? I mean, Laurie? You're not that Terminator.
But I will. If it's a good, it's not as common as I would think, but I don't know. If little kids are really being tortured or hurt, that kind of gets to me.
I will not cry when I see that. I get angry. The things that make me emotional in movies where I'm getting the tears coming down is when I see acts of kindness, because that to me is a much more rare thing. And like I said, the Elephant Man is, this guy has had about as horrible a life as you could possibly have, short of being a sex slave locked in someone's closet. That's pretty bad too. But Elephant Man being disfigured and being, a sideshow freak and never having anybody who loved him, and then suddenly he's plucked out of this horrible misery and people are nice to him. And it is, it rips my freaking heart out. It's amazing. And it's so well done too. Earlier David Lynch movie from the 80s. Yeah, check it out. Produced by Mel Brooks, oddly enough, and there's not a laugh in the whole movie.
Not a laugh in the whole movie.
I don't know if there might be a couple, but not really.
Well, did you see Life is Beautiful?
Oh yeah, that one gets me too.
Well, I went to visit a friend in Germany, and we were just sharing about stuff, and she said, well, have you seen this movie Life is Beautiful? And I'm in Germany, and she puts this movie on, and I lost it. She's like, what's wrong? Are you okay?
She had to ask you what's wrong?
I was like, you got to pause the movie. I mean, this is the most heartbreaking thing I've ever heard of in my life. Sort of,
but it's also the story of like the greatest dad who ever lived, and that is his I mean, that is like such a selfless thing that he did for his son. It's just like, wow, holy Christ!
Telling him about how it's a game, and they got to hide, and ultimately sacrificing himself to save his kid.
Yeah,
like that movie really. I'd say Life is Beautiful kind of messed me up for life.
In a good way or bad way?
In a good way.
Good.
Opened up my mind a little bit.
Well, movies are important. They are. They teach us. You can learn a lot. I think the Bible is the ultimate movie. It just happens to be a wise. It's a collection. To me, I'm not a religious person. It's just a collection of little movies that you should learn from, because they're made by wise people. They're trying to teach you something. This is what I get. I get the same thing out of movies. That's a beautiful lesson to learn from Life is Beautiful.
But I can't take those heavy movies all the time.
No,
most of the time I want to watch a stupid comedy. Although I haven't seen The Interview yet. I heard it's
pretty awful. But
I heard it's going to be like a silly, stupid movie. Going to sit back and have dumb laughs at a dumb movie, and that'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll probably check that out at some point. I think I will. And I'll bring it to the listeners. Did you know we have a sponsor, by the way, Sable?
Actually, I was pretty excited to hear about that.
Yeah, it's our very first sponsor, and it's for a movie that's coming out. And I don't know. Should I set it up? I don't think I should need to set it up. Actually, it's
No, let's listen to it.
Self-explanatory. Roll the trailer. Listen to me, Tony. Listen to me. This will be taken care of.
Who do we got?
I got a guy.
Who?
He's good. He's just
Just what? What's his name?
he's not what you'd normally expect in this line of work. Hey! Yes, you, Mr. White Sox with a black suit. Mr. Sebastiano was so not pleased with the way your last transaction was handled. He was like the exact opposite of happy. I've been sent to clean up the mess. So it's sort of like Molly Maids, but with a gun. A really big gun.
Well, I have a really big gun, too.
Oh, okay, no, see, I'm just here to torture and kill you. It's strictly business.
Please, just kill me.
Like the genie said, your wish is my command.
Bruce Hartiswood, gay hitman, putting the ass back in assassin.
Bruce Hartiswood.
Hard as wood?
Hartiswood. Oh my God, I never even thought of that. Hard as wood. That is hysterical. But no. I wish, by the way. That sounds awesome.
That's going to be great.
Oh, wow. See, this is usually they would not normally cast a flamboyantly gay character like that in some sort of a, like a violent role like that. Cool. All right. Who directed that? Didn't say.
Didn't say in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, Francis Ford Coppola. He's coming out of retirement.
All right. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I just made that up. I don't know who's directing it. It might be Andy Sedaris or Michael Bay. But
I tend
anyway.
to defer all movie questions to you, except when we played that trivia game about movies and TV shows. You didn't know jack.
I got spanked by our friend Sharon, a young gal. She spanked me in that game. I didn't get anything. I got like one good guess.
I was up on you on movie trivia, and I had no idea what was going on.
I know. In my defense, I will say that the questions were really hilarious. They're just about completely random movies that you have no reason to remember, like Marley and Me. Why would you remember that movie? Or,
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's not like they didn't. It wasn't questions about the Oscar winner from 1950 or whatever, or A Place in the Sun or All About Eve. No, it's just random. Like you're saying, some intern working at the game place just randomly pulled up on IMDb or whatever she had happened to watch on her Netflix and just pulled up trivia about some random movie. It's like, who would bother to remember anything about Marley and Me? So in my defense, I will say, and I was drunk. So there you go.
Well, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Bruce Hartiswood movie.
Yeah, there's no website to go to yet. I think they're setting it up. I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll post the trailer on. Just look for the trailer on YouTube. We'll have a link to it from our website at theindispensable.show.com.
And that's Bruce Hard as Wood.
No,
right?
it's Hartiswood. Oh, that's weird. I already do a good impersonation of him. The narrator, the trailer guy. It sounded a lot like he was the same guy that did our intro. I think weird.
He's got a good voice.
Yeah, the guy's got it. Yeah. He's got like golden tonsils, that guy. Okay.